The goals of JVLA 2.0 are increase student engagement, improve the effectiveness of our communication, and 3, to refine student assessment. We'd like to look closely at that first goal. There are at least 3 dimensions of engagement. There's a behavioral, a cognitive, and an emotional dimension. Behavioral involves the activities, the listening, the doing assignments, following directions, and so on. The cognitive has to do with the actual thinking about the content students are presented with. And then the emotional dimension is the cultivation of a positive feeling about the class. They feel a part of it. Achieving that kind of engagement in all 3 areas involves the deliberate pre-teaching technology and clear instructions, the repetitiousness and the routines involved. In the cognitive dimension, there are the outlining of objectives, the highlighting of particularly important concepts or models. And then in the emotional side of it, the opportunity for learners to share, to give feedback, to have to enjoy some humor and get the content under your skin. So as JVLA drills down into the precise nature of how to get at that student engagement, we're aware of the cognitive instruction, the care and relevance, and the understanding, the affirmation, humorous teaching, but also rigorous, challenging academic work take place, and lively teaching with not just direct instruction of lecture and note-taking and so on, but projects, games, fun activities. So one methodology that has shown some success in terms of cultivating and improving and drilling down at that deeper sense of student engagement is called the team-based learning approach. And this is one of many books and articles that are available on this area. This one in the social sciences and humanities. And the subtitle, Group Work That Works to Generate Critical Thinking and Engagement. This is edited by Michael Sweeney and Larry Michelson. And so the overview of the team-based learning approach, the approach divides students into small learning communities or teams consisting of 5 to 7 members that are together for the entire term or the semester, the entire term of the course. And the content is divided up into 2 or 3 blocks of time in which one major topic is covered, or one series of topics is covered within the course. So the first phase is that preparation phase, in which students take an individual test, then they take the identical test, an identical version of that test as a member of a learning community or in their team. They have an appeals process where they can question or probe the wording or the concepts involved in the question. And of course, they're reading the assignments, whether it's a text chapter or an article or something. And then the second phase is that application phase, which allows learners to practice and get feedback. They start simple with working with the content in terms of something as simple as defining terms or sketching diagrams in the case of the example of macroeconomics that we're going to look at in a minute. And then they move into more in-depth projects and work, maybe a debate or what we call it as the pick a position activity that teams participate in. And by the end of that 2-week period, they're ready to review and take an individual exam to demonstrate what they've learned during this module. So let's take a look at an example of the application of this team-based learning approach to get at student engagement in the AP Macroeconomics course currently underway. What we're looking at is the 4th module on Keynesian economics, and that runs 2 weeks from January 24th to March 9th. And here's that pre-lection that we looked at earlier. Welcome to Module 4. The first team facilitator for this module to send me an email indicating the correct date and time of that Time magazine cover over there with Keynes's picture on it, and the #1 song in the USA on that exact same date, name of song and artist, earns 2 extra credit points for their team on this module's final test. Email, date, stamp, and correct answers determine winning team. So the purpose of that is to, #1, inject a little lively, fun activity. Here's a little extra credit opportunity for students. They also have to know each module, the roles change, and there are 5 roles, but they rotate from module to module. So that's a very basic step to check in, make sure all 11 of our teams are their facilitator for this module is checking in, because there's points, valuable points and prizes available for that little simple activity. The other reason for doing that is to set the context of Keynesian economics. This Time magazine cover was 31 December 1965. I think there's a little bit of a dispute here. The #1 song was either Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence or Dave Clark 5 Over and Over, one of the two, depending on which chart you're looking at. So we might have to address discrepancies or ties. But on the left-hand side, you see the Keynesian cross model that is not used very much anymore in principles economics courses, but I just put it up there as an artifact to show the Keynesian cross model is one way of describing this model. But now, in the modern era, we use aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Scrolling down, you can see continuing with that pre-election approach, the key points in this particular model. There is the breakdown of the team roles based on the alphabetical listing of team member names. And finally, we'll just look at the routine and the 9 steps involved in AP Macroeconomics. The first step in this module is a pre-reading activity involving film reviews. One of my habits is to ask if there are any questions, comments, criticisms, or film reviews. And I've been saying that for 3 modules, and now I'm going to give the teams an opportunity to actually write some film reviews. These are wonderful little short clips. This is a rap video debate. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. John Popola is a friend, a good friend, and Russ Roberts is a well-known and well-regarded economist. And they put together a rap video called Fear the Boom and Bust that portrays a debate between John Maynard Keynes and Friedrich Hayek, continuing in that vein of the fight of the century and Deck the Halls with Macro Follies. So any or all of these films would be a pre-reading. Before they even get to the chapter, they can start interacting with the material. Step 2 then is the actual assignment of the reading material. Aptly is our e-text. That's an off-course site where they can go and have access to the e-text and the e-text exercises. And these are PowerPoint lecture PowerPoints for their perusal. They can look through them, and then the Keynes versus Hayek theme is continued. And this is just a hyperlink to Applia. Step 3 is the assignment of completing the reading checks. Those are really exercises, questions, and problems for them to complete to indicate that they've read the chapters, 11 and 12 in this case. Step 4 is that individual quiz. Now, this is fairly quick. If we click on this, in other words, they've got Friday and Saturday of this coming week, and today is Wednesday. So they'll finish the chapter reading on Thursday and then have to take a fairly substantial quiz on that. So that's quick, and usually the purpose of that is to make sure that they've read, but also that they perceive the value of coming back to this very same set of questions and problems with their team. Usually the scores are lower when they take it individually. So back to the steps then again. Step 5 is to participate in our weekly Fuse meeting. And this is, again, there are 2 weeks in each module. The first weekly meeting, we're going to look at the dispute over fiscal policy effectiveness by reviewing the Keynes versus Hayek debates. So this is sort of an opportunity for the instructor, in this case me, to check in with everybody. I'll present. I'll be the main presenter in that context, just to go over the key concepts of the material. And they can ask questions. We can interact, and it's not all lecture. It's question and answer, really. And then step 6 is to take that same individual test again as a member of a team. So if you look at this, the window of opportunity, they have 3 hours, and we encourage them to uh, go to Google Hangouts or Skype or have a little conference call or something. Even some students have opened up their own Fuse account, actually, I heard. Uh, and they have a 3-hour window this Saturday and Sunday to take that same individual quiz again as a member of a learning team. And they can go through it very, very carefully. Step 7 is to build, this is the more manageable team activity, working with vocabulary. Each team is assigned a number of concepts. I've got the 11 teams listed there. And then the recorder of each team will simply cut and paste from the e-text the definition or an illustration of the model if it's a graphic model. And then the rest of the members comment, elaborate, extend, give examples, and so on. So there's another opportunity to work with the learning community and to build a very useful review sheet, really. This will become a review sheet later. Step 8 is what we're calling the pick a position forum. This is the more hefty opportunity to show what you've learned in the course of this module. Here, this is a forum in which students post their thinking, and it really is an evolutionary process. Here are the teams, and they all have the same questions. So they click on that if they're in the, what is this, the Aristotle team, I think. And there it is. Which option comes closest to expressing your team's consensus on the evidence? So there are their 5 options. Keynes was mostly right. Hayek was mostly right. Keynes is right in the short run. Hayek in the long run. Keynes is wrong because the crowding out effect mitigates the multiplier effect, and so on and so on. So they have an opportunity to, every team, when we get together the following Thursday, every team will pick one simultaneously and then discuss and elaborate why they chose. So this forum is the space for each team to work out their consensus, if possible. And then finally, after that 2-week period, students are ready to take the Module 4 test on Keynesian economics.